Okay, we're going to graph y equals 3 plus cotangent of x plus pi over 2. Okay, so y equals 3 plus cotangent of x plus pi over 2. Alright, so in terms of our step 1, we're going to find the period. Recall that, so A is in the front, here's B, here's D, and this would be the opposite of what C is. Alright, so the period is going to be pi divided by B, and so here we get pi over 1, so that's pi. Quarter period is going to be 1/4 of that, so we get pi over 4. Okay. Next, we're going to find the cycle. So recall that the cycle for a normal cycle for cotangent is going to be between 0 and pi. So we're going to place the argument of this function between 0 and pi. And we're going to solve for x. So we're going to subtract pi over 2 in all three parts. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and label the x-axis. Recall we have 5 tick marks, equally spaced. Now we want to plot our starting point for the first tick mark here as our starting point. And since we wanted to make this easy for us, recall that we always like to have the quarter period and the start of the cycle to have the same denominator. So in this case, the LCD is 4, so we would multiply negative pi over 2 by 2 over 2. And if we do that, then that will change this. That will change this to negative 2 pi over 4. Oops, 2 pi over 4. Alright, so the starting point is negative 2 pi over 4. And then each tick mark after that is now pi over 4 units away, so we're going to add pi over 4. Add again, add it again, and then last one. Okay, and then recall that the start and end should be the same as the original start and end, and they are. Okay, now for the y-axis. Y-axis is going to go right through 0. Oops, let me redo that. I'll try this out. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, no, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Okay. Alright. Next we want to label the y-axis. The y-axis, we label it by using D. So first we need to figure out what the midline is at. So our midline is going to be y equals 3. Recall that the midline always corresponds to the D value. So the midline is 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. The absolute value of A is going to tell us how now we're going to scale our y-axis. So the absolute value of A, in this case, is going to be 1. Therefore, from the midline, we're going to go up 1 unit to 4 and down 1 unit to 2. All right. Okay, so now we're ready to graph. Recall that we are sketching cotangent. Cotangent looks like this. Asymptote here at 0, asymptote here, and then we have these 3 key points. Alright, so recall that we said in class that in terms of the 5 tick marks we sketched, this will be corresponding to the first one, this will correspond to the second, third, fourth, fifth. So our first tick mark is going to be our asymptote. So at negative pi over 2, we have 1 asymptote. At the second tick mark we graph, that's going to correspond to the top value that we got from using A. So it's going to be at 4. So negative pi over 4 will be at 4. The third point, which is 0, is going to correspond to the point that's on the midline. So at 0, it should be at 3. Pi over 4 should be at the bottom value that we got from using the value of A. So at pi over 4, it's going to be at 2. And then the last tick mark is going to be our asymptote. So we sketch that in. And then we just draw cotangent through those points. And that's how you graph this function.